That's better. Oh, there we go. Second live. Just hopefully, maybe some people might turn up. Literally just woke up. So my day today is I finished work at 7:30, and then 7:30 this morning. Managed to get to dog training for like 8 o'clock. So worked from 4:30 last night, round to 7:30 this morning. Got to dog training, and then finished that around 11, 12ish. I then had to go to the office, just have a chat about my work coming up, my plans and what I want to do. And then after that, I went to my mum and dad's for the dog to go and see his nan and granddad, have a bit of a run around in the field, speak to them. Girlfriend was there as well, so I had to go and do that, and then finally got back home about 1:30ish, I believe. So I was up 24 hours and then slept till 7, and then I've just woke up. Girlfriend's gone to class now, and I am doing this. So this is a live Q&A. If someone drops in, they can do some questions, and I'll try and give some answers. I've said before, I don't know everything, so if not, then I do have my manual, which is always handy. So yeah, this is just like a live Q&A. If anyone drops in, has got some questions about stuff, just have a talk and a chat as well. So I can start off the chat just by just talking about what I've been up to. So ever since I've done my last live in Bulgaria, I've been back at work. I've been doing bits and pieces. Training's been going pretty well. I've seen an improvement in my dog with training and that. So I'm really happy with how that's going. Work has been pretty good. So we work 3 days a week, and I saw quite a bit of progression with my dog from when he was training to where we are now. So when you get the dog out and you start working them, they start to change quite a lot, and I've seen that in my dog as well. So obviously my dog was a pet at the start, and then I've got him into the protection. And what's kind of what I've kind of seen is that his demeanor around people on site and his demeanor with people, and that has certainly changed since I started working him. So I think over the last maybe 3 months, I've seen a definite change in his attitude towards people, and certainly out of work as well. Now I wouldn't class my dog as dangerous, but what I would say is that I'm starting to see certain stuff. Like the other day, we went to a pub, our local pub, and this is the kind of change that I've started seeing in him. So we were sitting at the pub, having some drinks, and we got some chips for the dog, and also just to have a couple ourselves. And it was quite interesting. So we're sitting in the outside of the pub with lots of people around, lots of dogs around, and he was having a sniff around just to see who was about. And as most time now, it's kind of table service. So the waiter comes over, brings us our drinks, brings us our chips and that, and everything was fine. The dog was there; he was happy. A lady come over with her dog, which her dog got up to mine, and then she asked if my dog was friendly, which I found a bit weird. Sorry. So everything was fine and everyone was happy, and then we had our drinks. Then it got dark. So now it's kind of like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and the same waiter brought out our second drinks. And as he approached the table, dressed in black, coming out of the dark towards us, the dog started to kick off, started to bark at him, started growling at him. Now, obviously, I had him at my side. The guy was at the far side. So that's a change in his behaviour now that never used to happen. So what I have to kind of be careful now is that if I take him into public places, he doesn't like to be approached when it's dark, and he doesn't trust people that are coming out of the dark towards us. So yeah, I'd say over the last sort of 3 or 4 months, I've definitely seen a change in that kind of stuff in terms of his behaviour. But I think that's just through working and kind of what he has going on. But yeah, like I say, the training's been going really well. Working's going great. I'm hoping to start doing it a little bit more, just in order to sort of progress where I want to be. So I've only been doing it 6 months, as a lot of you know, and I want to try and progress him into being, like you saw my ratings video, where I wanted to try and get him up a little bit on certain things. And I think only by constantly working him, constantly getting him out, that I'll be able to achieve that. So I think that's kind of the next step for me. The next step for him is to kind of be able to differentiate between working and non-working. I'm going to try and do a clothing video, which will basically be a video about the clothing that you may need. Now, obviously, a lot of that's pretty standard. You need your boots, you need your jackets, etc. But maybe there's a couple of things that I have that I've found quite helpful. But also how your clothing will sometimes determine how your dog reacts. Sorry. And like, I can see a definite change in my dog if I wear my casual clothes and I start putting my shoes on. He knows, hold on, we're going to the park, and he acts a lot differently to when I put my work clothes on and I put my boots on, and he knows that we're going to be going to work, or he knows we're going to be going to training. So I was going to think about doing a video about that, because that would be quite helpful for you guys. People that are just starting out, maybe some people that have been doing it a little while, maybe just a couple of bits of clothing that I've found helpful, especially in the winter, and then how my clothing will sometimes determine how the dog is reacting. So with the girlfriend, obviously, he always sees her in casual clothes, but with me, he sees me in certain clothes when we're going to go do something, and then he'll see me in different clothes when we're going to go and just have like a casual day. Oh, I don't know. Oh, there we go. So this is my first one. So I've only just worked out where the chat is. So Sean, evening. How you doing?
Incoming call from 07557.
That's all right. The girlfriend's phone is linked up to our Alexa, so when it calls, everything goes around. So River Deep evening, just literally found your channel, so forgive me if I ask question already covered. Now a lot of this cheers Andy. So a lot of this is that I've found with my channel that a lot of people that are watching this stuff is that who I was a year ago. So the end of July 2020 is when I decided I was definitely going to do this, and I was going to get the dog into training. So a lot of the people that are watching my videos and messaging me on Instagram, etc. I was you literally a year ago, getting into it, wondering how I want to do it. I was very lucky that I've got friends. Like the company I work for now, Prestige, I've known their managing director for probably nearly 8-9 years. So it was quite easy for me just to jump into him and get good advice. And the reason I started doing this is I like to do YouTube. I was doing a golf YouTube for a while, but the demand on people wanting videos every day in the golf YouTube world, they want videos every day, and it's just never going to happen for me. So I like doing YouTube. I've found it as a good way to kind of keep me trying to progress myself, trying to make myself better. But I also want to put out there, especially with my channel now, that it's okay not to know everything. It's okay that sometimes you make bad decisions, or sometimes you make mistakes, and it's about learning from that. And secondly, like that's the other reason I've kind of done it is that I tried to use YouTube to get like some information about it, and the information just wasn't out there. Now there is a couple of videos from handlers that done like shift videos from quite a while back, but I feel like they was quite scared to put themselves out there because I am treading quite a fine line, and I hope a lot of you guys kind of appreciate that. I tread a fine line between giving you too much information and not giving you enough. And I think one of the issues I have is that there are possibly people watching this that are criminals, who are whoever they are, that are trying to get an insight to our side to try and benefit them. So although I'm trying to give you as much information as I can, what I'm also trying to do is I'm trying not to give someone that's a criminal like the backstage of what we do and where our weaknesses might be. Now, obviously, I'm never going to tell someone where my site is, but if they watch my videos, they may get a bit of an inkling into how they can maybe get around me. Now, I think that's where my fine line is, and there's certain stuff that I wouldn't share over YouTube that are like little tricks that I have that will give me the upper hand against someone else. I'm never going to share that with YouTube because I feel I don't want to maybe put other dog handlers in danger as well. So I'm trying to find that sort of fine line between giving you lots of information and possibly hindering us in sort of confrontations and things like that. So, right, let's just get into questions. Only Llewellyn, Andy has been someone that's been here from the start, always messaging me, always commenting on my videos. He's been a good guy. As far as I'm aware, he's very close, or he has started his NASDO. First question is, my first question is, what was your boy like as a pup in regards to biting? My girl is absolutely relentless biting, getting better though. So my dog, when he was a puppy, we went through that stage. So this is my girlfriend's first dog, and we went through that stage where the dog never bit anything. So I let him destroy one of my trainers. So when he was younger, he liked to go for trainers. So what I did is I put a certain pair of trainers at the bottom of the rail that I didn't mind him biting or ruining, and I put all the good ones at the top. So as a puppy, you just go to the first ones. But he never really destroyed anything. In terms of biting people or like the biting stage, he did have a problem with that. And basically what we've done to try and counteract that off of us as people is that when he was biting us, we would say no, and then we would give him something that he could bite. But as I was at the time making him as a pet, a lot of my stuff was, no, you can't bite this, no, you can't bite that, no, you can't bite us. So that's where my training took a lot longer than maybe some other people's, because when I went to training, for 14 months of his life, I've been saying, no, you can't bite, no, you can't bite. I was now turning around saying, no, you can bite now. So I got him out of the biting, and after 14 months, he was a really good pet. This is where I say that I've said to people before, when they say, like, is it something to get into? I say that you have to be committed to this, and you have to understand that these aren't pets. Now, my dog I would say, is at the lower end of the spectrum in terms of aggression, but I can trust him. But I know that in this job, I'm going to have dogs that I can't trust around people, and I have to understand that it's my responsibility to make sure everyone stays safe. Now, there could be something that happens to him, touch wood, it doesn't, but there could be something that happens to him which switches him, and he turns around and then he starts becoming very aggressive towards people. Let's say we was working a site and someone approached us and they started to attack us, and he gets hit with something. that could switch him to him turning around saying, right, okay, I'm not having this anymore. Anyone that comes near us, they're going to have it. So, like I say, his biting was just normal puppy biting, got him out of it. I've now got him into biting, obviously with the job that I do, but I don't want to take him too far. But I can't control what could happen on sites, what could happen if he gets attacked by another dog. Today at training, there was someone was getting their Malinois out, who's dog aggressive, and his collar snapped. Luckily, all the other dogs were in cages, but the Malinois went straight to the back of another vehicle that had an 8-month-old German Shepherd in there. Now that could now make that dog aggressive, and it's the same, and it could be the same with people, that it only takes one attack for the dog to switch. Now I know a handler that was working a site in Rochester, and they had a problem with kids on bikes, and a kid that was on a bike threw a rock that hit the dog. Now his dog now, every time he sees anyone on a bike or he sees a bike, he has to pin the dog to the wall, because he knows that dog is just going to completely lose the plot. So that's just a little bit about biting. Hope that answered your question. Yeah, we've got 5 on my live now, which is an improvement. So on my first live, no one turned up, which, like I said at the time, I expected, because A, it was my first live, B, I was in Bulgaria at the time, and I think it was like 3 p.m. on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, but it was literally the only free time I had. So there is an improvement. To be cheeky, are there any grants to help cover startup training costs that you've come across? I haven't come across it myself. I've been pretty lucky. What I would say is that if you work for a security company as a key holder or a mobile driver, and you want to go into the dog section, maybe there is, maybe you could speak to a company and they could kind of help you fund your startup, as long as you sign with them afterwards, and then they just take it out, maybe your first 6 months of wages. I don't know of any kind of organisations that help you start up, but I think if you went to a company, that a dog unit company around you, and said, "Look, I want to get into this. Are you looking for handlers?" They could maybe fund your NASDU. So my NASDU cost me around 500 quid, I believe. There is a how much video, but there is a chance that maybe if this company wants dog handlers, that they would fund your NASDU, and then you could pay it back over, like I say, there's certain like 6 months of your first pay packets with them. So that's always a possibility. That's how maybe if I needed help, I would speak to people and speak to companies. But yeah, that's maybe the way I would go around that. Yeah, info have been in deep dive, but there are so many courses out there where to start. So many courses, sorry. Is he a show or working line, or a mix of both? So my dog, he is a pure pedigree. That's as much as I know. He's not working line. I'm thinking about going working line next time, as long as I can get good hip scores. So the reason that we got a pedigree is because we wanted a pet, and we wanted to make sure that we got a pedigree with good hip scores, etc. And obviously now I'm in the working industry. I would like to go down working line, but what I have seen from not a lot of dogs, sorry, but ever since I've been doing this, so maybe over a year now, I know of at least 3 dogs where their back legs have gone, and the dog has had to be put down. So I like the idea of working line, but what I don't want to do is I don't want to risk plumbing a lot of money into a working line dog and then their hips go. So, but then having show line or sort of pet line, they obviously don't have that natural working instinct or that natural aggression in them. As far as I'm aware, his mum was a pet, and his dad was a pet as well. So they're definitely not working. It's not working line, which is why my training was so much harder and took a lot longer. But yeah, we got there in the end. But like I say, he's, as far as I'm aware, he's just like pet or working line background. That pet or show line background. This happened to my dog. He was attacked by another dog, and it took a good while to boost his self-confidence again and his trust in me. Took a while to get his dog off. No owner or collar. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that happens. And with these dogs, they're not fragile. Like my dog's not fragile, but their perception of that can be very fragile. So yeah, it could only take one, and then it's a case of just building them back up and putting them in situations where they have to be good, and then they start realizing, actually, okay, this is not too bad. Now this obviously goes into dog training, which is not something I do. Now I'll give you some tips. I'll give you some tips or some things that I get from training, but I'm never going to say I'm a dog trainer. What I would be also a bit wary of is that I've been told about this, is that dogs will react by how you react. So the first thing you do when you get a dog, even if you're going to work in this industry where they're meant to hate people, they're meant to want to attack people, is that you socialize your dog. Now you want the aggression to be on a command or on their training of reaction. You don't want your dog to react to every person. So when they're a puppy, let everyone pet them. Let everyone pet them. Treat them as a pet. Obviously, do little bits of working play with them, but let people pet your dogs, because what happens is that if you keep your dog and you don't socialize him with people, basically what that dog thinks is that everybody is the enemy, which 99 times out of 100 isn't the case. And if you have your dog on a lead, and every time someone comes close, if you check that dog back into you, that dog starts to think, okay, well, they're not meant to be next to me. And that's why you see a lot of dogs that are people aggression. It's because when people have approached, the dog has got checked. So basically the dog is barking from a distance, and basically what that is saying, don't come close, don't come near me, because if you come near me, he's going to check me and I'm going to get told off. So that's what that is. That's kind of what I know about that, is that when dogs are people aggressive or dog aggressive, is that they're telling them from a distance to stay back. Because if your dog's dog aggressive and the dog approaches, and your dog barks, what's the first thing that happens? You check it, you get it back in. Now, basically, the dog's now trying to warn them from as far back as they can not to come close, because they don't want to get checked, they don't want to get told off. People with 200,000 followers doing lives and only get a few on them, so you're doing well. Yeah, I've always said with my channel as well that if people want to watch it, they'll watch it. If they don't want to watch it, then they won't watch it. I'm happy that I'm just happy making the videos, and hopefully I'm happy just helping to let information out there and help people. Now, I've always been someone that tries to help people in any way I can, and if my way of helping dog handlers is to give them maybe a few little tips or give them some information that will help them get into the industry, or maybe help them on their detection of people or their article search, if it's anything like that, I'm just happy to do it. And the reason that I'm doing my live tonight is because normally I'd have football training, but it's been switched, and I couldn't switch my my shifts to a Wednesday. So I've got an hour or two. So I thought, you know what, I'll just put a live out there, and if people have got questions, then they can come in, and as long as I can help one person, then I'll be quite happy with that, which hopefully I might have with River Deep, who said he thank you for the idea of maybe speaking. I assume that was to speaking to companies about them funding maybe your NASDO or funding some of your training and then paying it off in the first 6 months of your wages or whatever that was. Blimey, that's good. I saw one for nearly 5,000. That was a kicker. Thank you. I will look into that. No worries. T13 Rudd, thanks for the videos on your channel. It seems like such a hard industry to find any information about. Yeah, I'd say that it is a hard industry to find information about, because it's quite, what I've found is it's quite an enclosed community in which people will share stories and that, but they like I say, they don't want to give away maybe some of the stuff that they do in just in case that backfires on them. And I think it is a case that you have to go to trainers, you have to go and speak to experienced people to get it. I think it is. I'm just trying to give people a chance to. This is not free. This is well, it obviously is free content, but it's not free teaching. Like, people will get something out of it, but you're still going to have to go to trainers. But maybe some of the stuff that I'll talk about is a conversation starter for you and your trainer. You could go to your trainer and say, look, I was watching a video about this the other day. What do you think about that? Now, I'm not saying that everything I say is the truth. Well, it is the truth. What I believe is the truth, but I'm not saying it's the only way. So maybe there is a chance for you to have a conversation with your trainer about something I say. And maybe they'll give you maybe a different perspective, and somewhere maybe in between the two, there'll be the answer that you want and the thing that you're going to try. So I would say that a lot of dog handlers, like it was the first time a dog handler had taken over from me on a bank holiday, and he turned up to site, and I was pretty new to it at the time. Probably only been doing it like 3 or 4 months. I hadn't really sorted out my van. I hadn't really sorted out my setup that maybe I've got now. And he turned up and he was saying, oh, I don't know how you do it. My van's got this, my van's got that. My boots are like this, my boots are like that. And it was kind of like he didn't know who I was, and he was kind of trying to boost himself up and trying to make him better than me. And I think you get that with a lot of dog handlers, where they like to boast about something that they've got or something their dog can do. But yeah, like I say, it's quite an enclosed community, and no one really puts themselves out there for one reason or another. I just do it just to hopefully help some people out, but also to have, like, I only know a couple of dog handlers from training, and the thing is with this work is that you will spend a lot of time on your own. Very rarely will you work with other dog handlers. So in terms of speaking to people with something in common, it's not really going to happen on a basis. So it's quite nice that I've got some people from around the UK. I think there's a couple in America that watch my videos as well, where we have something in common. Maybe we can meet up a little regularly on one of my lives or whatever it is, and just have a chat about it, and all having something in common, but obviously all at different stages. Now, there's probably people in my comments that, or some of my subscribers that are more experienced in the job than me, which is fine. That's always going to happen. There's always going to be someone with more experience than you. So we've got maybe people that are just starting out and just starting to get into it, and then there'll be people with lots of experience. And what I would like to see is maybe having some form of community where the very experienced handlers go into my comments and answer the questions from new handlers or people that are thinking about getting into it, and maybe it not always just being me that come in with the answers. But what I do, but what I do want is I just want it to be a positive place for everyone to come to, and people that are just starting off, not wanting to be scared to ask a question. Like there are no stupid questions. I was known at training when I first turned up as the extra question person. So there'll be a big long speech from my trainer about a certain thing, and then he'll say, "Has anyone got any questions?" And I was always the person that would ask the question, one question, two questions. It wouldn't, and sometimes it would start off a different conversation, and maybe I'll pick something else up in there as well. So I'd say that's what I would like to see from this, is that people aren't scared to ask questions, and experienced handlers to go in the comments and put their point over, or maybe give some of their advice as well. Right, let me just try and find. There was some others. I watch your channel because I liked your honesty and your personality. You don't think you're Rambo because you have a dog who will bite. Now, that's interesting because obviously, yeah, I want to be as transparent, as honest as possible. I've always done that in everything I've done. And I see a lot of that with dog handlers, that it's almost as if the people that are the dog handlers, this is probably the wrong thing to say, but a lot of people that get into dog handling, and possibly myself as well, like I wanted to do security, but I knew that I couldn't be a bouncer. I knew I couldn't be someone that would tackle someone one-on-one. So I wanted to go down the dog route, but you've got to respect the job and you've got to respect the dog. Now, a lot of people that get into this, I feel like they're people that feel like they've got to prove a point, and they have dogs as backup because they, in the back of their mind, like me, they think, oh, I can't tackle someone one-on-one, so I'm going to need some help. So, yeah, I don't think I'm Rambo, because at the end of the day, one-on-one, I'm not going to beat a lot of people. But obviously with the dog, I just have a bit of backup. But what I do is I respect the job and I respect the dog. I know the dog is there for my protection. My dog is not there just to go and savage someone for no reason whatsoever. And I think that's the kind of attitude that you want to have. You've got to find the line between confidence and taking control of the situation, and being cocky and, like you say, Rambo, where the person feels like you're just being a bit busy, or you're just being a bit over the top just because you got the dog. You've got to find that line between taking control of the situation and using the dog to help you take control of the situation, to being a bit over the top and being a bit too aggressive towards someone. Because at the end of the day, I've said this in a lot of my videos, you don't want to be the aggressor, because if something was to happen, you don't want to be the aggressor. It's the person has to be aggressive towards you for you to be able to use your dog. I agree, mate. Been doing doors and close protection for years, and still, when I come across dog handlers, they don't want to give anything away. It is one of those things. When I first got into this, I was told that it is like a lot of clicks. Like, you have to be in a certain clique if you want to go. If you go to this dog trainer, you've got to be in this clique. If you go to that dog trainer, you've got to be in that clique. And I do see a lot of that. And when I go training, people are in their cliques. Obviously, if they work for the same company, they're going to be in their cliques. I normally keep myself to myself, to be honest. I just crack on with my training. And if people want to ask me questions, people want to have a chat, of course I will. But I would say that I keep myself to myself at training and let people get on with their cliques. But to be honest, a lot of the people at my training, we all get on really well. I was at training this morning with 3 others from a couple of different companies, and we get on, we have good chats and that. But yeah, I'd say that a lot of them like to keep their cards close to their chest. And I think that's a shame, to be honest, because I think it can give dog handlers a little bit of a bad reputation. And I think that, especially with the way that we act with the dogs in terms of being authoritative and it may come across that we use the dogs a bit over the top at times, and I think we get a bad reputation anyway. So if something else I get out of this channel is that people can watch it and understand that we are just normal people that have a job to do, and unfortunately our job puts us in a line of danger to a certain degree. Now, I'm not saying it's like any more dangerous than being a police officer, but the work that we do put ourselves in a line of fire to a certain degree. So we need to probably change our perception that people see of us. Like, a lot of people automatically assume my dog is dangerous. My dog's not dangerous. My dog can be dangerous. I'm not going to say that, but my dog is well trained on terms of the bite stuff, the detection work. But my dog's very well trained in terms of like the standoff, like in terms of one-on-one. So I think we just need to change that and be a bit more open with people, because it's like, say, if it's a very closed and you don't let people in, then you're only ever going to have sort of the outside. It's a bit like footballers, professional footballers. We all see them as arrogant, with loads of money, going and spending loads of money doing willy-nilly. Now, if they let you into their circle, it probably turns out that most of them are really nice guys. If you listen to podcasts, like the Peter Crouch podcast, when they speak to footballers, they're just normal guys. But our perception from the outside is that they're a bit arrogant and a bit up themselves. And I think that's a little bit of what's happening with sort of dog handlers. So we need to let some people in so that people just understand that we are just normal people. So can I go for my NASDO with my current qualification, SIR, door supervisor, and emergency first aid at work? Yes. So in terms of SIA, you've got the door supervisor and you've got the security guarding. So the door supervisor is kind of just an upgrade of the security guarding, because I believe in door supervisor you do not one-on-one combat, but it's for bouncers. So you train in terms of one-on-one standoffs with people. Obviously, with that we have the dogs to do that. So you only need the security guarding SIA license, but you can do it with a door supervisor license as well. And obviously, emergency first aid at work. I don't think at the moment that is something you need in order to do this job, but I've heard that they're going to start making all dog handlers first aid trained. Sorry, we're just drinking that Coke. They are going to start asking all dog handlers to be first aid trained, because something that I'm going to do a video about is about welfare. So on sites, when you find a person that's on site, it's your job for their welfare until the police have taken them or they've left site. So if your dog bites someone, it is your responsibility for their welfare until the police or the ambulance turn up. So they are going to start asking every dog handler to be emergency first aid trained. But I'm going to hopefully try and do a video on that, because there's some things that can happen. Oh, there's my boss. From October this year, anyone who has a SIA license or renews must have a first aid qualification. There's my boss. So there you go. That answers your question. I knew he would know it because he was the one that told me about it. So from October this year, 2021, anyone who has a SIA license or renews must have a first aid qualification. So he's going to have to put me up on that. Right, where are we going here? Still done that one. Andy, spending time alone with my dogs is the reason I'm going to do this going into this line of work. I eventually want to open my own company. Yeah, I'd say that this is one of the. It's strange. So going in somewhere and sitting on your own for a long time is obviously can be a bit boring, etc., etc. But I would say that I haven't found a job like this one where I enjoy going to work as so much, and it's just because I know that it's just going to be me and him. We're going to be left to do whatever we want. We can play, we can train, we can relax, we can eat, we can do whatever. So obviously there's going to be working in that, but I would say that doing this alone with the dog, you never feel like you're alone because the dog's always there. He's always ready to do stuff. If you go to work, there's a lot of times in maybe offices and that people don't really want to talk, etc. Whenever the dog's there, he always wants to do something. He's always ready to go play, go train, do whatever it is. So you want to open up your own company, it's always good to have an end goal. I was speaking to my boss today, and I think what I would like to do one day is I'm very happy doing the job that I am now, but maybe go into being sort of a trainee trainer and then becoming a trainer. But I want to do a lot of on-site work and that first before I get into it, before I start doing the training, because I really want to learn and get lots of experience about the job, so that if I do become a trainer, I've got quite a lot of like personal experiences with sort of patrolling, attacks, and certain things like that. So I think mine would be is that one day I'll want to end up becoming a trainer. But like I say, it's always good to have a goal, and if your goal is to have your own company, then that's a good goal to have. Safety management, Cornwall. The dog world is not full of positive, full of people that want to slate each other rather than make it a better industry. I think I could probably agree with most of that, to be honest. But I think this comes back to it's a little bit playgroundy, where my dog's better than your dog. Like my dad would beat your dad up. Like my dog's better than your dog. That kind of thing. I'm a better handler than you are. And to be honest with you, it's a little bit stupid. Now I understand that there are going to be certain handlers that are better than others. There's going to be dogs that are better than other dogs. There's lots more dogs that are training that are better than mine. But would I say them people are better handlers? I would say a lot of them are more experienced in terms of sort of the job experience. But I wouldn't say there are many better handlers than me. And I would say that my trainer says out of all the dogs he's trained, the happiest he's ever been is with my dog, because of where we've got to. Now, a lot of that was my training, but I wouldn't say that I'm a better handler or my dog's better than anyone else's. And I'd say a lot of people there are good handlers and they have got good dogs. But I understand what you mean, where it is a little bit like my dad could beat up your dad kind of stuff, and I think that needs to change as well in order to get a bit of a community around the dog handlers. I think that would be quite beneficial. A lot of people get into dog work have a huge ego. Yep. Sadly, they don't have skill to back up the ego. Best way in this job is no ego. Trust your dog. Know your limits. It sounds like someone that knows what they're talking about. So, but it is that's a good way of putting it, I suppose. Is that a lot of people that get into it, they get the dog, they walk around 10 foot tall, thinking that no one can touch them. That is something that happens, but I'd say a lot of that is that you have to have that sort of persona, or you have to make people think that, because at the end of the day, when you're walking around and you're patrolling a site, if someone's watching you from the outside, they kind of want them to look at you and think, looks like he could do a bit of damage, or he looks like he knows what he's doing. I think the worst thing you can do is have the dog and not look like you know what you're doing. So yes, it is very egotistical, but I would say that is kind of a persona of them having the dog, and that's a lot to do with the job. So if you go to events and things like that, and you'll see dog handlers there, you'll see the dog there, and they will have kind of an egotistical, macho kind of outlook to them, because they want you to know that they've got a dog there and you've got to behave yourself. So I kind of see it two different ways, but yeah, I understand what you mean. Trusting your dog and knowing your limits, that's one of the most important things with this, is that if your dog says that something's going on, then to trust them. And yeah, know your limits. Know that certain situations is above your pay grade. Certain situations, sometimes, even if you really don't want to, sometimes you've just got to think about the safety of yourself and the dog. And yeah, know your limits. That's probably a really good way of putting it. Hi mate, just dropped in. Can I ask about the finances of getting security training and bike work, etc.? I've seen decoys charging £50 an hour, and thought, damn, is that the normal rate around your area? So I don't know about one-on-one, but I know that my trainer, he charges £40 for a 4 or 5 hour session, which could involve bike work. It did today, or protection work. So that's £40 an hour. I know he does one-on-one sort of lessons that will be probably similar to like between 3 and 5 hours, and he charges £60 for the 3 to 5 hours. So I'd say £50 for an hour is quite a lot for someone to run around in a suit. I wouldn't pay that. I would go to a qualified trainer and do it properly. Not saying that person's not legitimate, but I'd say that I wouldn't pay £50 an hour for someone to run around in a suit and let my dog bite them, because a lot of that's going to be chat as well. That's not going to be a full hour of full-on biting, because the dog can't do that much. The dog can do maybe 5-10 minutes and then it'll need a rest. So I think that's quite expensive, but I don't know what the really going rate is. All I know is that I pay £40 for a session, and that's free, about 5 hours. That includes bike work as well. So the question is, can you make it as an introvert? I don't have ego, understand dog behavior, but prefer to work with my dog instead of mainline security work. I prefer solo jobs like search jobs. So can you do this job as an introvert? I would say in the working, well, no, I'm not an introvert. If I was an introvert, I probably wouldn't do this. I'm not the most outlandish, outgoing person. I can speak to people, I can always strike up conversations, etc. But I wouldn't say I'm much of an extrovert. So yeah, you can do this job as an introvert. What you do have to do is learn to have that little bit of an ego, or that kind of, when you're on site, that even the site manager, if he asks you to do something you know is wrong, is you need to be able to stand up for yourself and say, no, I'm not allowed to do that, or no, I'm not doing that. So you have to have that kind of ego of like, this is now my site. When everyone goes, this is now my site, I'm in control. And even when someone that is on site that thinks they have a say in how you patrol your dog, how you work your dog, you have to have that kind of ego of like, no, I know what I'm doing. You need to back down. So what was the other end of that? You don't understand dog behavior, but prefer to. Can you make it as an introvert? I don't have ego, understand dog behavior, but prefer to work with a dog instead of mainline security work. Now, dog behaviour is something you'll learn. I've had German Shepherds as pets before, and you kind of pick up on what they do. With my dog now, I've picked up on certain behaviours or certain looks or certain body language that I know what's about to happen. But a year ago, I wouldn't have known that's what was about to happen. So I wouldn't worry about not understanding dog behaviour, because you'll learn it pretty quick. All of a sudden, you'll start seeing stuff like when my dog's ears go up and the chest comes out, I know something's happening. It could be a fox on site, it could be a person on site, it could be he's just got a bit of a smell of something going around. But a year ago, I probably wouldn't have really paid much attention to it. But I've learned now that you find little things that your dog does, and every dog is different. So some dogs will sniff on the floor for scent, and some dogs are sniffing the air for scent. So it's not a case of that every dog you have is going to have the same kind of behaviours or body language. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that, about not understanding dog behaviour, because it changes from dog to dog, it changes all the time. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Where are we? It's all well and good having a 70 kg. Oh, it just went up. Sorry. It's all well having a good 70k snarling beast at the end of the lead that wants to murder everyone around you. Reality is the dog that bites someone is being put down. Yeah, that is a fine line, and I'm going to edit a video, and I'm going to get a video out this weekend that hopefully will help in terms of getting you out of sticky situations. Now, yes, dogs do get put down if they bite or they attack people without cause, but there's certain things that you can do in order to get people on your side, to get witnesses on your side, to get CCTV on your side. And I'm going to try and edit that video, and I'm going to get that out for Saturday. It's not always the case. There are lots of bites that have been proven that they was required. So it's just very important for you as a handler that you only use the dog as a last resort. Now, if you can get away without the dog biting someone, then that's what you want to aim for. But we understand that it's not always needed. So you need to make sure you do everything that you can in order to make the bite needed. And if it is needed, you need to make sure that everyone around you knows that it was required, that you haven't just gone charging in and doing it willy-nilly. So Kia, keep your eye out for this Saturday for that video. Like I say, I filmed it last night, and hopefully I'm gonna get it edited and get it up for Saturday. Right, where are we now? Mohammed, if you don't mind me asking, how much do trainees get on their first year? So it should be the same. It should be the same rate, the same working rate. So even if you're training, you should get the same wages. I did. So let's, for argument's sake, say I don't get this, but for argument's sake, say I earn £5 an hour now. As a trainee, I was earning £5 an hour. I don't. I earn more than that. But you should get the same, because at the end of the day, you're still doing the job. You can work your dog whilst it's doing its NASDO. So there's no reason why they should pay you any less than the going rate, which is between £10 and £12 an hour. So that is the going rate. That is the normal rate. So there's no reason as a trainer you should get any less than that, because at the end of the day, you're still doing the work. All right. I have self-confidence. I've martial arts for a few years. I'm just not keen on large groups of people, like active drug searches for clubs, etc. Just no. It's very rare that you'll do something like a drug search in sort of clubs and that. Yes, you may do events where where there are lots of people around, but if you've got a decent boss, you should just be able to say, look, I just want to go to this site. I want to be working on my own. I just want to go to a site between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. and then I want to go home. And the company should have lots of sites like that they can give you and say, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's that site, go and do it. So you should be able to do a site where you just go and work on your own. You don't have to go and do crowded ones and things like that. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's a big difference between ego and taking pride in what you do, and also knowing that you are legally allowed to do. Some of the best handlers are guys that turn up, take pride in their job and crack on. Now, I think that all starts from the moment you leave the house. So that's making sure that your clothes are clean, your clothes not necessarily ironed, but you look smart. That all starts from the moment you leave the house. Make sure the dog has been groomed, make sure the dog's looking nice. And yeah, like I say, it is about taking pride in it. I've seen a few handlers, not so much at training, but I've seen a few handlers around that look scruffy, look lazy, and yeah, I can see where you come about that. I've seen lots of good handlers that look like they know what they're doing. They look clean. They look like they're taking pride. But I've seen a lot of handlers that don't as well. So, and they look quite lazy as well. But it's just one of the things. It's the same with it. It's the same with every job. Builders, you see builders that look like they're taking pride and they're cracking on, and then you see builders that look like they really couldn't care less. So it's the same in every industry, but obviously the idea of this is that we try and get everyone pulling in the same direction, and maybe just be a bit more transparent, and yeah, bring the levels up a little bit in terms of dog handling. Are Dobermans well known in this work of line? So there are four main ones that you can. There's four main dogs that you can use. So they're recognised by NASDU, and that's German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, Rottweiler, and Doberman. Now, I would say Doberman is the hardest to get a good one. If you want to get a good working line Doberman, you normally have to go abroad for that. So I would say, unless you really, really want a Doberman, I wouldn't go down that line. A lot of Dobermans in the UK are bred as pets, and they've got all pet backgrounds. Not saying they can't do the job, but they're normally a lot smaller. And like I say, they've kind of been bred to be pets. The Dobermans over here. So I would say, unless you really, really want to use one, I would say that you maybe steer clear of them, unless you want to go abroad and get one. But then they cost a lot of money. And I believe now there is a limit that you can't get the dog until they're 6 months old, to try and stop the puppy farming abroad and getting puppies over here. They've started making it a legal requirement that the dog has to be something like 6 months before it can be shipped over here. So yeah, they are known, but I've never seen one. I haven't seen one because I think they're so hard to get a good one that people just don't try. So unless you really, really want one, I'd say go for maybe Shepherds or Malinois or Rottweilers. On that, I'd say Doberman the hardest. Rottweilers, I would say, you get some good ones. You get some not so good ones, but you get some good ones. But they're very argumentative with the handlers. I've seen dogs growling at their handler whilst laying down because they don't want to do it, but they know they have to. Malinois is a land shark. They are just crazy. And then shepherds, from what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've been told, they're the easiest to train, especially as a first handler. They're the easiest to train. They're the ones that have the most level head. I'll say Rottweilers are a little bit laid back. So I would say if you're first time dog handler, shepherd or Rottweiler, but I would probably go towards the shepherd a little bit more. Malinois are just mental, and unless you really want a Malinois, you've owned them previously, I would try and steer clear of them as definitely as your first dog. And Doberman's very hard to get a good one. Recommend probably not trying. So I don't understand dog behaviour. I have some background, just not in search security and qualifications. Need to start that off. That's all training, mate. That is all training. I wouldn't worry about it. You'll soon learn. Like today, I was doing a patrol with my dog, and we was walking up, and he was sniffing, and then all of a sudden he went bang, look that way, and then there was the guy. So you'll understand the dog. You'll understand when their nose is to the ground and when they're tracking, and then you'll see in their body language, they'll all of a sudden their body a turn or their head a turn, and you just have to kind of learn that and be quick with them in order to do it. So that's all training, and you'll get there in the end if you try and soak as much of it in as you can. Andy, I wanted a Doberman, but went for a shepherd for my first security dog in the end. Yep. What changed your mind? Please post live so I can see. Mostly the fact I struggled to find a breeder in the UK producing well-driven working dogs, and I really didn't fancy sending a couple of thousand to some bloke over in Slovakia. So, not that I read that, but it sounds like Andy is backing up what I was saying about having to go abroad to get good ones. What was your defining decision on shepherd? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, you'd be able to see this all in the chat if you want to see Andy and River Deep talking about the Dobermans and the shepherds. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it while some of you are still watching rather than everyone leaving. It's just been over an hour as well, so I think that's a decent amount of time. I hope you did enjoy this. I know I've enjoyed it. Like I say, just getting on, having a chat with everyone and going through different bits and pieces. Hopefully, I'm just giving you some a good place to get together, to chat. Hopefully you'll see each other in the comments and help each other out. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to chill out. I'm going to probably start doing some editing of my video for this Saturday, and then might do something with the dog as well because he's looks like he's exhausted. So all right. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Don't be a stranger in the comments, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers for watching.